Hi, I'm Ed Feingold, editor of Billing Views, and we're going to talk about three trends that are starting to pull together here. One being M2M, another being cloud, the other being connection management. And what spurred this was a report I saw from IMS Research saying that they expect there's going to be about 326 million M2M connections by 2016 from just over 100 million today. So that's very significant growth. And what the analyst was suggesting is that what's going to drive that, or what is driving that, is mobile operators doing two things. One, building business units that are focused on connection management, putting connection management capabilities in the network. And the other being, like we often hear, putting resources and tools together to drive app developers to create M2M apps and try to fuel the value chain. So what's the challenge here, though? I mean, connection management is something that's really important to pull all the pieces together, right? To make cloud and M2M work together. So why is that? Well, first of all, when we're talking about M2M, right, we're typically talking about machine-to-machine communication. So not necessarily human-initiated, and you have a lot of automated things happening and traversing different types of networks where you have devices that may be in trucks or they may be fixed, and they need to communicate to applications that are central to an enterprise's business and communicate a lot of data back and forth. So in this instance, what do we see happening? Here's a truck. It's got devices in it. They're acting autonomously. The truck is moving. So in other words, it's handing off from mobile tower to mobile tower. And when it's sending, it's going into the RF network or into the RF tower. It's then transiting this backhaul network. In a lot of cases, it's going to then be dumped off to the public internet for various reasons, and then that's going to connect up into this application cloud up here to make something happen. And that something that happens can be some kind of a business process that's triggered that may require connectivity across these different clouds to ultimately get back to a result that then needs to get delivered back down to this truck, which is what this dotted line here is. And it's seeing a very similar transit path. So it may be coming across the public internet, going onto the backhaul network, and then saying, uh-oh, this guy's over here already, this way onto the backhaul network, over the RF, and back down to this truck. And all of that needs to be connection managed. So what that means is that there needs to be software in place, right? And it's some combination of OSS-type intelligence overseeing the whole thing and taking advantage of signaling capabilities, most likely, something like diameter, let's say, in the network to do all the setup and teardown of these connections in real time, but also apply policies to them, apply QoS to them, and possibly to encrypt and secure those things. Not to mention the fact that when you think about these connections getting done, it's not just data being sent back and forth, right? An authorization has to be done. Some kind of authentication may need to be done. If you have any kind of financial transaction or secure access happening, right, there may be numbers, credentials, a lot of other, keys, things like that that are being handed back and forth. So a lot of little things need to happen very quickly, very securely, and very consistently for all this to happen. So whatever connection management scheme you have has to be able to take advantage of that. And if something goes wrong, it needs to be able to back up, know that something went wrong, reset up the connections, reinitiate that transaction or that communication and fix it, and make sure that it gets completed at the end of the day or at the end of the instant. And if it doesn't happen, it may need to alert somebody. So there's a lot of things that are moving on here. And it's one thing to have M2M applications that kind of work best effort. And it's another thing when you're saying, okay, well, there's all these clouds out there, everything's virtualized. But something's got to connect them all. And something has to make them work at a carrier-grade or enterprise-grade level, and that is connection management. So that's why that becomes such an important piece. And I think why when you draw a conclusion like there's going to be 300 million something M2M connections, and it's because connection management is going to get put in place, there is some logic to that, but there's also the backside which says this has to work, and there has to be a scheme that ties all the end-to-end stuff together. So these could be separate operator backhauls. These clouds can all be operating on different operators or different internet providers' networks. The public internet's mixed in here. How do you get visibility and connectivity end-to-end? Is that a telecom industry collaboration that needs to happen, or is that some other group, or maybe even someone from the telecom industry coming in and saying, we need to create some kind of a virtualized layer that ties all this stuff together and provides that connection management on demand to whatever application needs it when they need it. And is that something that's achievable as well? So that's basically how this works. It's pretty interesting stuff, and we'll keep an eye on what happens.